Hi, and welcome everybody to the Conscious Marketer Podcast. I'm Richard Tobinger, and I'm joined by Kylie Slavik. Hi, Kylie.
Hello.
And today I want to introduce you to a friend of ours, Hirini Reedy. He is a Maori elder, a Wairua strategist, and he also calls himself an executive BS cremator, which is super playful and funny. Hi, Hirini. Welcome to the podcast.
All right, thank you for the intros. To all the people listening around the world at this moment, at the crossing of time and space, my blessings go out to all of you. And I'm talking to you, each individual, because my walk is representative of the walk of humanity as we cross the face of our beloved earth at this time and space and crossing. The walk is a metaphor for transformation. And I'm doing my doctorate as I walk. And I'll talk about the 3 levels of walking, which I call warpath. How ironic that I use the name warpath, but it's not what you think it is. It's spelled W-O-A, but pronounced war if I use my English tongue. But the first one is an acronym, W-O-A, walk of a hoe. Walk of a hoe sounds very familiar, similar to Navajo. Walk of a hoe. A hoe means myself. So this walk through New Zealand, Aotearoa, begins with the walk of myself. The inner journey, the mountains, the rivers, the fields that exist without, sometimes exist within, as we cross the topography of our inner world, our inner journey. When we grow up, when we grow old, each breath, from our first breath to our last gasp, is a step. We are stepping, whether we consciously know it or not, until we reach the point of the last breath, the walk of a hoe, because hoe also means the breath. Be a walking breath, people. Use your breath wisely and consciously in your time. Number 2, as you are thinking of the walk of self, I call it the walk of Aotearoa. I'm walking the outworld of my country. You could put America in there, Australia, all those that have been given the name A, and then just add your own. Don't forget to laugh too, peeps. This shit is not all serious, and forgive me, I used an expletive that was taught to me by the English-speaking language. The walk of Aotearoa, both the beauty and the beast of our lands. Behind me, I'm surrounded by the native flora and fauna. That is the call of the bellbird, our special bird, similar to the nightingale, but this one calls the dawn, calls the light in the morning. It awakens us. So part of your walk is to look at your outer world to see both the beauty and the beast. See the places of beauty, natural beauty versus man-made destruction. And we don't need to keep bombing the shit out of each other because of the diversity of differences determined by global blocks and so forth. Part of this walk is me transforming from a military soldier into a spiritual warrior. And the third walk, we get to the Trinity, just like in the Matrix, blue pill, red pill, is the walk of Atua. Atua for us in Hawaii is called Akua. It's basically the spiritual presence that exists behind this world of appearances. The little spiritual things, the little miracles. Don't look for the great miracle, but the accumulation of small micro miracles that lead to a very, very important transformation in your lives. Be aware to the openings and closing of points. That is the spiritual coming through. Walking, Richard, Kylie, as I do my doctorate, as I walk, using my phone to type in my messages of relevance, so forth. So that's a summary. The warpath. I'm sure it can be of relevance to people as they determine a path with a heart. So that's the reasons why I'm walking.
So exactly where are you walking to and from?
So to give a context, peeps, jump on Google Earth, zoom around the world, easy to zoom around on the technology, lot different when you're walking land step by step. So I'm here in New Zealand. New Zealand, derived from a Dutch name called Zeeland, which was discovered here, part of the colonization in the 1600s by Abel Tasman. I'm sure you all will know where New Zealand is. So zoom in. I'm basically walking the whole length of it again, a second time. 5 years ago, I walked from the north to the south. This time I'm walking from the south to the north because it coincided with a message that was given to me by a kahuna on Kauai Island in 2017. No, correction, 2015. He led to my first walk of Aotearoa because he said it's about the reunion of the ancient civilizations that existed in the Pacifica, and what we call basically the placenta of fire, or the ring of fire, that volcanic chain that goes around the whole Pacific Circle. It goes through New Zealand, up through Malaysia, across, comes down the western coast of the US, comes down through Hawaii, down through the Andeans, and comes back around. So basically what he said to me, Aotearoa, New Zealand is part of the land masses that once were more before the changes happened on the globe. New Zealand, again, get out your maps, do a little bit of research yourself, so you do some walking. Don't just sit on your backsides and listen. You got to consciously do it. That's why the walk is important. You walk it out, you work it in. Walk it out, talk it in. You change your methodology, you change your life. This is what market is all about. You do the little steps, you get the big result. So essentially walking up and down, there's a spiritual thing. Now there's kahuna. That's why I talk about the Atua. He died on the same day as Queen Elizabeth II, 8th of September, 2022. Important because in Hawaii, in 1893, Queen Leilani was evicted from her throne by the Americans, the US Marines. During the same 1880s, 1800th century, you also had the massacre of Wounded Knee with the 7th Cavalry. I'll call you out. Same happened in New Zealand. We talk about the Anzac legends where Australia and New Zealand were forged on the slopes of Gallipoli. BS. You guys came over here, Australia, New Zealand militia and British, to attack the Māori in the 1860s, who were only to try and defend their land. Now people are lamenting about Russia and Ukraine and Crimea. This is why this is important to walk with integrity now, Kylie. Marketers need to show integrity when they put their shit up on the line. Not just sell products, you must sell principle. You must sell authenticity, integrity, qualities which will last longer after your product has been replaced by some new version. You can hear there's an intensity to me. It's not always easy, but we have to be like the walking ghost, the ghost who walks, the walking breath that calls out this stuff. Otherwise it becomes corpses lying on the side of the road that we could have avoided. And I tell you what, I see it all the time. The small, tiny insects, the little creatures that are part of the ecosystem, getting hit by the huge mass of human vehicle infrastructure, roadworks, building works. In New Zealand, we're having dieback. Dieback is basically the fundamental destruction and the withering of our forests. It's happening in our waters. We're not so green as we used to be. We're also having soil dieback. The same thing's happening in the US. And when you have human dieback, yep, soil dieback, because it's humus, has the word humus to it, where we get the word human. Come on, peeps, start scraping at your terminology. Stand up for something worthy, which is the humus, the earth, as well as humanity. Otherwise, we get business dieback. Look what's happening. Businesses have to repurpose themselves, and then we have human dieback. But we can avoid this. So this is why I'm making this speech and podcast, so that we can actually make fundamental changes, Kylie. Marketing. Start looking at some other bigger word than marketing, because it sounds like a market, a gathering of peeps. You want something that's got a principle that will endure. Once the market has got no purpose, call it something. I don't know. Find a way. So that's my spiel. If that's all what I can get to say, that's enough. People got to do their own walk. Can't walk for you. Can't do your press-ups for you. Gonna have to get off your asses and get down on the floor and start doing some press-ups right now if you're feeling a little bit blocked and depressed. Get down, push out, stand up. Okay. Question times.
Yeah, Hirini, you're intense, and I love it. I love the passion and like you're the one of the protectors on the planet, and so we really honor you for your service at this time, and I think for a lot of people, even in the West, we're seeing the environmental crisis coming, and yet there's very little being done about it. I think the good news is that with transparency, there's definitely a reawakening for marketers and for companies, and I think the consciousness is shifting to where people want to support companies and products and brands and ideas that are protectors of their communities and the planet. Maybe you could share, an idea or two about how maybe a company could start to shift or make a bigger impact in the world beyond just their local community, or even beyond just the products they serve, and how they could integrate some of that into what they do.
Yeah, this is just my philosophy. Right behind me is a marketplace going down. The ecosystem is an exchange of products and providers. The flower that opens releases its marketing signal, basically the fragrance. It gets received by the bee, who delivers its product of pollen before the nectar. And then from out of that fusion, there grows the great phenomena called a forest. People start thinking like a forest. Huge deals going down behind me, Richard. Songs are being sung. Various offerings of silhouette and shape and color. They're the people down on the ground level. They're the peeps up in the sky. Zillions of transactions. Man, you wouldn't be able to get this on the stock exchange going down, but not one money denomination. We call it mana. And the same Hawaiians, exchange of life force, not money. I don't see this bird up here having to go and get a loan from the federal bank to make its nest, and it's coming into spring now. It don't need to go to the bird university to get qualified to build a nest. Simple things that we actually don't take for granted, that nature. And it doesn't get depressed when it rains and stops work. This is the type of inspiration we can take from stopping and looking deeply beyond the appearances of the world to see the wisdom that exists in natural intelligence. So one of the first things is start to repollinate your business concepts to be in alignment with nature, not artificial intelligence, AI, because the AI in Māori, ko the I is the seed. And it's also part of a Maori and a Hawaiian stance, ko the I, part of the lua. And I'm sure you're familiar from your Hawaiian, the various of words. Start using ancient intelligence or authentic intelligence or natural intelligence. Don't be an artificial being. That means you ain't got real truth to you. You're just copying some other shit that other people have told you is the relevant truth. Forgive me if I'm using expletives. That's why in my statement I use executive bullshit, BS, Cremator. I burn it. I'm like the god Shiva. You've got Vishnu and Brahma, beautiful cats. But when Shiva turns up, he's the rubbish collector. I ain't here to do the beautiful stuff. I want to clean up all of your shit, burn all of your corpses. But out of your corpses getting burnt, there is the fertilizer and nutrient and the cleaning for the next regeneration. So start to look at the transition. To give this a context, businesses are going through a transition stage right now. There is a degradation of existing paradigms to seeing what is the new birth, the new earth, rebirth, re-earth. I say it again, peeps, rebirth, re-earth. Connect your umbilical self back to the earth so that your soul, two souls, the soul up here, the crown which shines from the sun, connects up, the soul on the bottom of your feet, connecting to the earth. Bring the terrestrial and celestial together, so boom, it's held in your hands as the offering. Start to think these terms in your marketing where you can use the mystical into the marketing. You use the ecology as your textbook. Tell people to walk into the forest and see the wisdom that will reveal itself when you watch the curving of a growth of a leaf and you apply that geometry to the arrangement of your business structure so that it endures in the next level of pollination, so that when we pass over, Richard, you know that we just need to remember that the forest is growing and the teachings still remain. So that's one of the key points.
I love that. And I was kind of thinking about how you were talking earlier before we started the episode about kind of coming up with a new language or even a new story, which is probably even more interesting to me. I started thinking about it when you were sharing. It's like we are doing that, but how could we do it with more force, more speed? How can we come up with that new story in the time frame that we have here to do it?
Beautiful. This is when we have a sense of urgency, we can do stuff that would have taken us 2,000 years. Down into basically 2 years. So we've got to look at the compression factor. People don't do shit, Kylie, until the demon or the demon of change is sitting on your back. Dudes, we've been giving you beautiful, sweet messages to do some changing, but now I'm here on behalf of Mother Earth. I'm the climate change monster, and I'm here to smash your shit down. But I want to give you a couple of more years because you've had 2,000 years. Peeps say, come on, peeps. So we're at that point now where climate change is literally smashing down things, flooding things, burning things, blowing things. And I don't mean to be dismissive of those people who are suffering, but there's a message there. So good point. Peeps, whoever listening, and I'm using because the kids they use acronyms and they say peeps, which I believe is short for people, like deets is for details. You work out deets, peeps. Okay, sounds pretty cool for the young peeps anyway. Moving on with the speed of light. Have a bit of levity. Levity and gravity go together. You can get serious about this, but laugh yourself into a new thinking, because out of your levity, something falls down and you get the word. Allow yourself to find it. So there is a natural intelligence listening to you when you start to speak from your heart. But you've got to walk it out a little bit so that you get through all the egotistical mind stuff that you don't by after 30 minutes. You've got a bit tired and you get to the point that, I'm here because I feel stuff. I feel the lament of the planet. I feel when I see rivers getting destroyed. I'm here to find a way that I can put this feeling into form, into the formulas that I can use to bring forth change. I want to find those formulas. And then from that point, you can start to engineer and go to find products that have that feeling, but also have a niche. As you know, niche is about finding your appropriate place in the forest. So I'm using someone's backyard and they've just put a tetrahedron type thing in, which supposedly is the three-dimensional form of the flower of life. I put it there because sometimes we talk about structures that supposedly have a geometry, but it's different to a tree. You touch that, you get your poked. Whereas when I touch the tree, the berries, there's your marketing, the fruits of your labors. You feed and nourish others from out of the fruits. So start the seed, start the ecology, grow a forest. That becomes your business, the diversity. Your products will find themselves And the fruits of your labors will give sweetness to the hungry, to the lonely, the impoverished, all those things that need it. So it's as simple as finding the secret to the little seed, Kyle. Contemplate on that and walk it and declare it enough. So that's one way, eh? Tell everyone to get off their phones for 30 minutes, set the timer and go for a walk and come back and share questions with your guys' forum. Peeps, shit will cut out, Wi-Fi will stop, power cuts, and you feel like you're nothing. So I was talking about going for a spiritual walk, a little short walk, maybe 20, 30 minutes. Put it on your phone, your timer, press 30 minutes. Before you start, ask yourself an important question. One of the things I say to peeps, why am I here? Why am I here? Not what am I to do? Why am I here? And then from out of that question will emerge, what am I to do? Because I know why I'm here, who I want to be. Then I'll do the stuff that's going to help fulfill those two questions. Otherwise, you're doing stuff that your journey isn't really in. So 30 minutes, put the timer on, ask yourself your question and walk and think and talk it through. Until you get to the 30 minutes, then you record yourself. The 2 to 3 minutes where you talk your truth. You talk your truth and be bold. It's you just talking to yourself, so you can scream, use expletives, be free. Also take a photo of what's around you and even of where you are on your feet, so you can show at this point in time, this is where I was grounded and this is what was happening. And you might actually find, if you're at the beach, you get the tide coming in or something synchronistic that happens to show that there's something hearing you. And I mentioned about the earthquake happening. It freaked the lady out, but she said, I felt alive, Hirini. I felt alive as if the earth was hearing me. And when you get that level, same with me on my walk, Richard, Kylie, there have been things of spiritual significance. I'll share one. Walking along a back road, a man comes along and he stops and wants to give me some money for a coffee. And I said, no, sweet, I'm good. He said, I've just had a heart operation. And when I saw you walk, I said, there walks a man with a heart. And I said, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You've got a new heart, make a new start. We shook hands like a sort of out of a Western sort of film and went our way. And that's why I walk. I said to one person, asked for me to stop, why are you walking? I'm walking for people who cannot walk. I'm walking for people who, for whatever reason, need uplifting. I'm walking for those ones who are suffering. We can walk for others, even though we don't know who they are. Walk for the planet, walk for the lamenting river, walk for the weeping forest, walk for somebody who right now is suffering, bombed, living in a basement. Be the walking freedom that they wish they could have and walk it out. And then we walk it back in, walk in the future, walk it back in as we walk out our own stuff we need to sort out. So that's why I use the metaphor of the walk. There are a lot of levels to it, but it's just a sequence of transformation and steps, both the physical step and the spiritual stride. Ooh, think about that, good people, before we have an ad break. Just like to talk on behalf of the birds. The birds want to remind us of the ability to lift ourselves above our humanity. Put wings to your feet. And then the corresponding, we can put feet to the wings when they need to ground. All right, that's just I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, Richard, Kylie, trying to be like an ad person speaking on behalf of nature, putting in an ad.
We don't have an ad break, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have an ad break, and I love that you're trying to speak, or you are speaking in force of nature. It's kind of interesting because I actually did a step challenge last month, and I've done this various times in different ways, but I was aiming to get 25,000 steps a day, which is well, you walk about 10 minutes is about 1,000 steps. So it's about 4 hours of walking a day. And I have a busy schedule with kids and life and everything. And so the only way I can get that many steps in was getting up really early, you know, like 4:35. And I'm lucky where I live. I back into some hills, and it's a wonderful experience. I think spending time or being in nature on a regular basis, but the quiet time, and you know, this idea of walking for the future, or walking for the down, you know, I sometimes say walk to get the downloads. And at first it was a burden, and then it was like the gift, you know, it was like the gift of the answers I needed to that day, or to a project, or to the next thing. And I think if more people did the morning walks or the daily walks, and it would like literally that simple thing could contribute to changing the world, because it's only in those times of silence that we are in communion with our higher selves, nature, soul, whatever you want to call it, you know. And so it's interesting because I think there's a dawning in a lot of businesses recently that they need to give people more of that quiet time, and that more of that connection, because that's where the inspiration for the things that can genuinely help people in the world kind of come through. So I really feel like you're a leader. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about what is the story you want to create for the future? What is the new myth or the new mythology that you'd like to see unfold? You know, like if you could start to influence more people to wake up and to take action, like what would that look like, so that we could like head more toward that, or start to contemplate that?
First one is is the walk of a hoe. And first of all, I drew this little cartoon picture of these series of little steps. The first step was leaving the man-made world of destruction. So it was a metaphor of cities, apartments, surveillance, all that stuff that if you draw it, it looks like a scene from the Star Wars, the Death Star, you know, the Terminator and all those sorts of things. So one of the things is being aware of what you don't want into life, and starting to use that as a basis for transition. And again, start to do your own map, your own, get ready for a mass exodus. I'm not a biblical man, but I believe during the times of Pharaoh, there was some guy who said we must leave the land of Pharaohs, cross our own Red Sea, and head to a promised land. That's a metaphor for a changing of state, not necessarily physical. That's why I call the walk of a hoe. So peeps, start to look at your life and be honest. And I'm sure you've got methods there, coaches. Man, there's coaches everywhere now to coach you. But start to see yourself as a pilgrim. Start to see yourself with a new story, a new character. I use myself called the Hawkeye Ho, which sounds like Navajo. It's using their word. The Hawkeye Ho means the walking breath. Oh, hello, cat. There we go. The cat's interested. So we can tune into our other relations. As our great people of Turtle Land says, all our relations. The great spirit and the great family of all our relations. There, that cat. There's a lot of metaphors with the cat, going even right back to our Egyptian connections. The cat, the mystery. So the first thing we can start to do is start to find out, who are you and who are you not? A lot of people though, I don't know who I am. Well, are you this? No, I'm not that. And I definitely don't want to be following in my father and grandfathers and become a partner in a law firm when I love drawing. I love art. I can't stand legal processes. But family legacy says I should be looking at that. So the first one is start to find. The second one is you must go deep into who you are. So what we call tahi. This is, write this word down, people, tahi, T-A-H-I. Tahi means to unify. It also means to sweep. So you're sweeping the surface of your life and unifying the elements that comprise who you are. Find your soul force. Rua, You must go deep into the cavern of your heart and spaces where you really start to bring out that sleeping star, what I call the sleeping star that dwells in all of us, that's been surrounded by the embodiment of story. Bring that star out. It's when you are illuminating yourself, when you are seeing the glow of who you are. And then we start to thaw and rue, to grow and shake it like a seed starting to come through, coming through. You are a seed of creation, Richard. Stop thinking small, people. When you have the same forces that create the human embryo is the same in a macro level creates the star system, which is the parent to our solar system. The same fractals appear at the macro and the micro, the infinite and the infinitesimal. Size, one step, I know one step multiplied many times creates a great journey. So you're going to that, then you reach Ha, as what our aloha, aloha. The Ha is the first breath. You have breathed your new story into life. You must start walking it from there on. So find your transitional stage and make this part of the marketing, because this is the bridge, the spine from which they can develop the leaves, the branches of who they are. It's like a family tree. Oh, so yeah, there's a dog barking and my voice is resonating through the community. Obviously, people are getting intimidated by this speaking, walking man, but that's the
life.
reality of living in the, yeah. That's why I'm interested in walking through cities. And also I'm borrowing somebody's Wi-Fi.
Right. So thanks so much, Hirini. And if everybody wants to get the show notes to this episode, and Hirini is also providing us a small PDF gift if you want to learn more about his walk and what he's doing and more about his work. Where you can find that is you can go to Conscious Marketer /podcast, and you can search for Hirini Reedy's podcast there, and we'll have everything there so you can get the information. Hirini, thank you so much for joining us today with your spirit and your passion, and thanks for all the work you're doing in the world.
Awesome. Thank you, Richard and Carly, for your great work, and to all you beautiful people around the world listening. Hey, let's just give a tap over our hearts to show that we connect through the one heart of many beats. Okay, thank you. Bless you all. Bye-bye.
Bye for now, Hirini. Thank you.